Hi, I'm Susan. I'm the Active Travel Development Worker at Kirkcaldy. This is a short video about how to use the gears on your bike. Gears aren't a safety feature, so it's perfectly possible to go for a bike ride without ever changing gear, but you will enjoy it more if you learn how to use your gears effectively. Essentially, gears relate to how fast you're travelling and how fast you're pedalling. If you're going slowly, for example if you're starting, if you're turning a tight corner, or if you're going uphill, then you want to be in a low gear. And then you want to change up gears as you pick up speed. There are a few different types of gear lever that allow you to change gear, and I'm going to look at the two most common types, trigger gears and twist gears, and how to use those. This style of gear has trigger shifters, and you use these two triggers or levers to change gear. So if you pull that one, it moves you down a gear. Use that one to move you up a gear, and the number there shows you which gear you're in at the moment. The gears on the other side work in exactly the same way but in reverse. So you use this one to move down a gear and this lever to move up a gear, and again the number there shows you which gear you're in at the moment. This bike has twist shifters. You change the gear by turning this bit here. Turn it that way to go down a gear, that way to go up a gear, as per the arrows. And that number there shows you what gear you're in at the moment. Again, on the other side is exactly the same but in reverse. You turn it that way to go up a gear and that way to go down a gear. If you have two sets of gears, one at the front and one at the back, then there's one thing to be aware of. You don't want to end up cycling with one set of gears in a high gear and one set in a low gear, because that will end up over time stretching the chain and damaging it. If you're cycling and you find that happening, you might hear a scraping noise, something like this. And that's not good for your chain. As you're changing up gear on one side to a high gear, you want to change to a high gear on the lower side. So if you're in top gear on one side, you want to be in your highest gear on the other side, and vice versa. If you're in the lowest gear on one side, you want to be on the lowest gear on the other side. If you find it too complicated to keep track of two sets of gears, my advice would be for your front gears, which is probably the gears on your left, to stay in the middle gear at all the time. So on this bike I have 3 gears in the front, so I would stay in second gear all of the time. When you're cycling, you will have a feel for how fast you would like to be pedalling, and you can use your gears to help ensure that you keep pedalling at roughly the same speed throughout your journey. If you find that your legs are going around really quickly, then you want to change into a higher gear. By contrast, for example when you're going uphill, if you find you're really struggling to get your pedals to go around at all, then you want to change down into a lower gear. And by adjusting which gear you're in, you can hopefully maintain your pedalling speed at around the same for your whole journey. Something to be aware of is that most bikes won't change gear unless you're pedalling. So that's worth bearing in mind if you know that you're going to be slowing down or stopping. If you're in a high gear and you stop, you'll find it quite difficult to start up again. So it's worth changing down in advance, for example if you're approaching a red light. That's also worth being aware of with hills. If you're going up a steep hill, you want to change down gears in advance. If you end up trying to change gear when you're pedalling really hard, there's a risk that your chain might come off, but you can avoid that risk by changing down gears nice and early. We're now going to cycle around Beveridge Park, talking you through when we change into a higher gear and when we change down into a lower gear. Hopefully this will bring to life when you want to use different gears.
So it's coming up the hill ahead. You have to think about what's ahead of you and breathe and bring it down a gear or so. so that you're not trying to struggle on the hill. So you hit the hill in a gear that will help you get up it. So bring down another gear. What you don't want to do is hit the hill too high a gear and be having to push really hard on the chain and change at the same time. So bringing down another gear. So you're probably in one of your lowest, if not your lowest gear at this point. It's a little steep bit of that hill. It's not a big hill, but it does get a bit steep. And then nicely, so we start to come to the top. As we get to the top, you feel your pedals going faster, round quicker. So feel it's easy enough to move up into higher gears. What you want to do is try and keep your feet spinning about the same number of rotations. So we're going to go on the downhill now. Watching out for park users, but you can take the gears up higher and higher. Come into the flat again, and we can still keep our gears quite high. But now we anticipate more people in the park, so we want to bring it down a little bit so you can be in control. Cheers.
I hope you've enjoyed this short video on how to use your gears effectively. Keep an eye out for any other cycling videos that Greener Kirkcaldy makes. You can look on our website or our Facebook page for more information. Enjoy your cycling.